plastic. If I was 50 years older, I'd date you myself.
When I play a game, I want to play as an interesting character. A character that looks flattering, maybe they look heroic, or they're just a character that you can get behind. That were made by developers that were passionate, had a vision, and weren't trying to push agendas through the characters that you're controlling. I think that's the problem now with many games nowadays, is that a lot of developers try to push their agendas onto the characters, and there's only so much that gameplay can do to carry a game forward. Most people are not going to tolerate a poorly designed character regardless of what the gameplay is like. Let's face it, a lot of these games now, they're not really innovative, they're not that fun to play, a lot of it feels copy and paste, and there's a true lack of innovation because most of these games are not being made by people who play games or enjoy games. They're just made by people who know how to program, or barely at that. But you can tell from the characters that they create that they want you, or rather expect you, to fork over money for, usually $60 to $70, and expect you to play as these characters without even questioning why they look like the way that they do. And we know why they look like that. It's usually agenda driven or just pure incompetence. A lot of these developers are not qualified, they're not skilled, they're not imaginative, they're not creative, and that's why we've been subjected to these poorly designed characters. On top of that, what makes them even worse is that they are poorly written. So across the board, you just have people who really don't know what they're doing. A lot of them are past their prime, and they truly are out of touch. They're listening to the wrong crowd. They're more interested in listening to investors and activists than their actual fans, or people who are willing to tell them what they need to hear, not people who are just gonna kiss their ass and think that everything they do is the greatest thing ever. But when you have people that will actually tell it like it is, they will tell you that they don't want to play as these characters. There's a reason why. The discourse around these characters are usually negative for a reason. Look at a game like Ex Voto, and when people see that character, they say, oh no, because realistically, no one wants to play as these ugly, horrendous looking characters. They are not appealing, and the developers are lying to you. You're lying to yourself that you think that these characters are really appealing, because if they really were appealing, then they would not be forgotten about within a matter of months. Case in point, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Or what about Ghost of Yote? Who are talking about these games again? Who are still talking about these games, about how amazing they are? What about Silent Hill F? Need I go on? Or you know what? How about what about The Outer Worlds too? What happened to that? What about Avowed? These games with all these different characters that they have to offer, whether if you have a party of characters you can roam around the world with, or if you're solo playing as a character, it doesn't even matter. They don't like these characters, and there's a reason why. They look like dog shit. Developers need to do better. This is not peak gaming whatsoever, because peak gaming does not look this terrible. And I remember when it wasn't even just Eastern games that actually gave you some interesting characters to play as. Western developers used to do this as well, but that's long gone. And even in many cases, Eastern developers give us shitty characters now. Case in point, Resident Evil 9, where we're playing as Grace, the stunning and brave character, right? The new character that everyone can relate to, because my mental illness, everyone has a mental illness now. They put it in their bios on social media, along with their pronouns. She's a stand-in for that, of course. This character, Grace, from the neck down, looks like she would fit perfectly with characters in The Last of Us 2. She looks awful. Fact of the matter is, Capcom, before recently, were known for having female characters with curvy bodies. They had tits, they had ass, they had legs, they had personality, they had a pretty face, everything, the whole 9 yards. All of that was great, right? For the most part. I'm not gonna act like every female character was like this iconic character. But For the most part, they were interesting characters, not just from their design, but their personality as well, and they grew during the course of the games they were in, unlike Homegirl Grace. So, when you think about this character, she should look better than this, but she doesn't, and the reason why is obvious. Capcom wants that ESG money. They gotta fill in the DEI quotas because they are fucking bitches now. They're pussies. Why do you think the character of Grace is designed the way that she is? Why do you think she is portrayed the way that she is? For great storytelling? Get the fuck out of here. Another example where character designs really matter are with fighting games. You think about the series of Dead or Alive and how important and crucial the designs of the characters are to that series. And of course, the fighting game mechanics matter as well. But the fan base really grew due to the designs of the characters, and that is true with most fighting games. It's not solely the fighting mechanics. Of course, I don't want to try to undermine it, but all of that does matter, but so does your roster of characters that will draw people in, whether if you're a new fan or a veteran of the series or just the fighting game genre in general. You want to see characters that pique your interest, along with their fighting styles that will also make you want to play that character, to get to know the character, maybe even main the character. You want to see a lot of characters that just interest you to pick up and play. Another genre where character designs really matter are games as a service. And while I could give two shits about that genre, or rather that trend of games, I still know that characters matter. They have to look interesting in order for people to want to play as those characters. If you have a roster of characters that you can select from or unlock or purchase, then they have to look appealing for people to want to play. I mean, look at Concord. That looked awful from the get-go. Now you got the next Concord is Highguard. Hey, Jeff Keighley. But now you're gonna have Marathon, then you're gonna have Killer Inn, you're gonna have Fair Games or Fair Game, whatever it's called, and you see what these characters look like, and of course it's no surprise why people are not interested. They don't want to play these games, why they have an extremely short shelf life. And the next one that I'm sure is gonna happen too is Horizon Hunter's Gathering. That game looks like complete and utter dog shit. It looks as atrocious as the regular Horizon games, especially when it comes to the character designs with Aloy and her cement bag face and all the other terrible looking characters in that game. That's why a character like Aloy or A-Boy is and never will be an iconic character. No matter how hard people try to push that character, she will not be iconic. She is boring, she is forgettable, not just in the way she is written, but also in her design. And that's the other problem with these games now. The designs are not flattering whatsoever. Male characters, you're lucky if they can even be masculine, heroic Giga Chads anymore that are at all really edgy. And the same with the females. You're lucky they can actually flaunt their sexuality around or even be feminine or act like a female instead of just trying to act like another man. I remember the character designs being interesting, very appealing, and just stood out among many others, whether if it was a male or female. It was something that drew me in, and drew many people in, for that matter. And there was a reason why. There was artistry, there was passion, there was creativity, there was a sense of imagination that went into these characters you really rarely, if ever, see now. And back then, Western and Eastern developers were doing that constantly. They were putting out games that had characters that really and truly made you want to play as them. The truth is that characters back then were memorable. They left a lasting impact because of the passion and creativity that oozed out of the characters. That's why they are still remembered to this day, why people still talk fondly of them, why they are considered iconic and legendary, and why they will go down in history for so many people, and why you see so many lists of great games or great characters is usually those older characters, and that is for a reason, because they were well made. And if you were to really look back with an honest perspective, you will know it's not blind nostalgia, but rather it's a fact. Character designs used to really mean something, and sadly, the same can't be said for most games now.
Can we stop?